Alright. Hello everybody, it's me, Generic Pie here with another video for you. Once again, this was unplanned. I got a message from Yan the Man asking for a rematch. So I thought that I would play a game with him. And once again, it was sufficiently interesting, I think, to put it on. It wasn't like an absolute smasher-rooney. It wasn't like a bona fide classic. But had some interesting moments, some interesting decisions. Let me know what you think. I want to get better at this game, and I think a good way of doing that is to, you know, ask the fine people of the War of the Ring Discord community what they think of my my decisions or lack thereof. Um, so in this game I was the shadow, kind of the reverse of the last game, and Yan was the free people. So I started off with Shadows Gather, and on they went. And he had Aimer and Wizard Staff. So Wizard Staff, if you're gonna get it, you want to get it early. And Shadows Gather, this is one of the best cards in the game. But the thing about Shadows Gather is I notice when people get it early, sometimes people try and do these crazy machinations where they move dudes over. You know, this guy goes here and this guy goes here, and then they try and artificially create a Shadows Gather situation that basically slows them down and actually only adds, doesn't help. So anyway, I decided to hold on. So the rolls are as follows. A nice roll for me, and an okay roll for Yan. I put down the Isengard dudes. He moved the Fellowship. I missed. I drew a card because I didn't want to. I wanted to see if I could draw into a nice card that would allow me to muster some orcs or something. You know, something that would be really useful. Drew into this, which is good for the best root battle. Yan passes. I do standard moves. I decide to get the Isengard fella over into this. I think I'm going to go for Lorien and Woodland Realm. So he musters. So this is quite interesting. So he could have moved twice this turn, but instead he decided to play this card presumably before he moved the Western Army, and also while Gandalf's still alive. So I can see the logic there. You're making the most of Gandalf's ability. You're maximizing the potential of this army. I think that's a sense. It's definitely a decent move. So I start moving armies around. It's pretty clear where I'm going at this point. Yan moves the elves down. I'm obviously going for Lorien. Move this army up, move that army across. These guys move. And I bring in Saruman. So yeah, pretty standard first turn. So let's see what happens in turn number 2. So I draw into the Lidless Eye and Day Without Dawn. Yeah, 2 cards I can't play right now. And he draws into Smeagol Master and Dane. Okay. I roll this. This roll. Quite happy with that. No eyes added to the hunt. And rolls a tasty, meaty roll with lots of movement. I decide to start off by playing. I've got these 2 Palantirs. I don't really want to give away too much about what I'm doing. You know, maybe he'll think I'm going to go to Gondor. I don't know. So I just decide to. I want to play that 3 at some point. I decide to do it early in the turn. But then I pretty quickly show my hand and start moving these guys up here. I pass. I bring in Sauron. He plays Wizard Stuff and draws into Dead Men. I keep moving the guys. I decide to hold on to the character just in case he gets revealed, and then maybe I could use that to put some, move the Nazgul around, put a Nazgul on them. Yan moves again. I roll a 2. I move my armies again. Yan moves again, and I roll a 2 again. So at this point, that's 3 moves without a hit, all on 1 dice. Not the end of the world. And then I think in my last game to Shadow, I've hit like 5 times out of 25. So I've been on a stinking run of luck in the last couple of games I played a Shadow in terms of the hunt. I played against, I think it was Vase the other day, and got into Mordor without being revealed. I think he got hit once. Um, and I also played another game yesterday or the day before against Sunny, and I think he got like to step 8 without getting revealed, and then he got hit once or something stupid like that. So I've just been it's tricky when you're in that situation. You don't have the cards to hurt the you just can't hurt the Fellowship. It makes the game really really hard. So I was starting to think the Wizard's Staff, the 0 hits on 3 times. Like, oh man, is this happening again? Is the game just putting me through one of those torturous phases where you just can't do anything right? Anyway, so I decided to draw a card. I draw into Rage of the Dunlendings. The reason I do that is because I know I'm going to discard the Lidus Eye next turn anyway, so I don't care about being slightly overdrawn. And yeah, Jan talks about how he's had some painful luck as well recently. So he moves. I do finally hit. I presume he's using Wizard Staff, and he does. So yeah, that's just 4 movement without anything happening. I go for Old Forest Road, and I decide not to play a card. He doesn't have scouts, which is always good, and I get my hit, as does he. Alright, so we move on to turn number 3. I draw into Black Captain Commands, and return the Witch King, and Jan gets Eagles Are Coming, and Imrahil. Right. So, I get this roll, so a few more eyes in there. I'd probably rather have fewer eyes, but at this point I'm not that upset to roll 3 eyes because I need to slow him down. I need to start hitting and revealing him, otherwise this game's just going to get away from me. So I don't like putting in the eyes, but you kind of at some point you want to get a roll like this to give you a shot unless your military is going at lightning speed. So luckily for me, he only gets 1 movement this turn, and he moves the elves down. So yeah, this means that I cannot get the clean pivot, and he is going to be able to muster in one of these strongholds. I decide to go for Lorien. Given the choice, that's the way around for us to do it. 2 medium-sized strongholds rather than 1 strong and 1 weak. And then he musters in Wooden Realm. I put Wooden Realm under siege. I decide to change the die so that I can then bring the Witch King in. And why did I want to do that? Oh yeah, okay. So I think it was to play Black Captain Commands, and then I was thinking if I could take one of these, then I could play Black Captain Commands, take the Stronghold in 1, and then use the Palantir, use the character die to then move the Witch King over to the other Stronghold to take the other Stronghold. So it was a bit optimistic, but I thought I wanted to leave that option open for myself if this went well. So I bring in the Witch King, step 1 of the plan. The Fellowship are finally hit. I draw an eye, 1 reveal. Jan decides not to kill Gandhi instantly. He decides to gamble. And what does he get? He gets a 3. So that's the dream scenario. Not what not what I wanted to see. Yeah, on that note, at some of my recent Free People's games, like getting hit the first 3 movements and then getting 0 into a 0, so you can't even kill Gandhi. It's just and then when you playing a shadow, the opposite happens. Anyway, I'll stop complaining. So I play Black Captain Commands. I do think that, in retrospect, I think because Lorien's kind of an island and Dew is connected, I think I would have been wiser to actually send the Witch King to Lorien, try to take down Lorien in 1 fell swoop, and then use this die to go back the other way. I don't know why I did it this way around. I think it maybe because... No, I don't know why I did this. Also, especially because of a new Power 2 Great. I think, yeah, if I was to play this again, I would have gone for Lorien first. But anyway, so I play Black Captain. What card do I play? Attack Wooden Realm. I decide to play Swarm of Bats. The reason for that is maybe I was holding on for the Desperate Battle for the round 2 in case he had a Daylight or something like that. I want to keep Rage of the Dunlendings. Rage of Dunlendings is a handy card to have. I like to hang on to it rather than using it for Relentless Assault most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So anyway, so Swarm of Bats, unfortunately because he played a card, doesn't get me many hits, I just get the one hit. Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I think I get one hit, then I remember Confusion. So of course the 6th is the 10th dice rolled, so it's cancelled. And Yan gets one hit back. I decide to press, draw into another Desperate Battle, play a Desperate Battle, he has Heroic Death, and I roll one hit, and Yan gets 3 hits. So Woodland Realm going terribly. Yan moves his dudes. So yeah, this is a tricky start. I'm no longer in a position to really keep attacking Woodland Realm. I don't have any forward mustering cards. So what I decide to do is to use this die to essentially give up on Woodland Realm and also put a Nazgul on the Fellowship in the process. I do, however, leave 2 guys there in case I am in a position later on to attack with, and I don't have a C die to move some leadership across. So I kind of keep one finger in each pie. That's not the expression. But anyway. So I draw into Shadow's Lair, and the Shadow is moving. And Yan gets Mirror Galadriel and the red arrow. Put one eye in. This roll. Good roll. Yan gets a roll. So finally he can get the Gandhi Man. Or the Gandhi Man can. He flips the Fellowship. I decide to get the South Rons and Easterlings to war. Oh my, oh my, oh my. What a fool am I. I've just realised that I could have blocked Gandhi here. I was so caught up in my other machinations that I completely forgot that I could have played Day Without Dawn and got rid of the will. Ah, man. There's a mistake. There's a mistake. Yeah, I think I was so busy trying to plot my Shadows Gather. I was thinking about other things, which you will see. Yeah, what a mistake. Anyway, so yeah, Gandhi comes in. Actually, wait a second. Oh no. Okay. Speak of the devil, Jan's not a fool. he did it in time anyway, so it doesn't matter. Take that back. So I decide to attack Lorien this time. Play Desperate Battle against Heroic Death. This time combat goes better. I get 3 hits, which is reduced to 2 by Heroic Death. He gets 2 hits back. I decide to get this combat good and done, so I press. Oh, Yan is here in a tricky situation where he cannot reduce casualties in the most efficient way to get enough attacks. So he says the elves go extinct, and I joked that it was my master plan all along for Woodland Realm to go so terribly that the elves would then be unable to reinforce efficiently in Lorien. Yeah, big brain stuff, galaxy brain stuff. So I draw into Shadows on the Misty Mountains, and I decide to play Relentless Assault here. I was torn about whether I should play this or maybe Onslaught, thinking that Shadows is a nice card, especially when I got Dunlendings and I got Shadows, and this army's, and even the Shadows Gather, I could have potentially gone like done a whole load of cool stuff, and then got an army up to Rivendell. So I was kind of like half and half. Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? But considering I like the idea of moving this army down south, perhaps. Dunlendings can work in other ways. It's thing about that is it's so telegraphed that he would just basically have so much time. He could just put 3 elites in here. It would be so obvious what I'm doing by the time I do it. So I think, okay, let's just let's not overthink it. Let's just oh yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so play Relentless Assault. I get 2 hits. Yan gets none back. I decide to attack again, and this time, yes, that was the whole conversation I just had in my head. This is when I was thinking it. So I decided to play Onslaught just to be safe. You don't want to be in a situation where a single guy left in a stronghold wastes a bunch of your dice. That's only a fool would repeatedly attack a single guy without using a card to make sure that you finish it off. So anyway, I get my hit. I don't need to use the Onslaught. So whatever. Doesn't mean that I can cycle cards though, which is always good. And I draw into a fantastic card in A New Power is Rising. So Yan moves again, and the Fellowship are hit, which is nice. I forget to reroll. Doesn't matter because I draw a 1. Yeah, and we talk a bit about Jew stuff. With my C die, I create a web of Nazgai, and also move the Witch King back up to Woodland Realm to finish that dastardly job. And here I play a Shadows Moving. So I was thinking about using Swarm of Bats to attack Dale, and then to make sure Dale couldn't go into Erebor, and then having taken that, using Shadows Gather to get this army into here. But then I decide that I kind of I'd rather use Swarm of Bats. Sorry, rather use the Shadows Moving to get all my armies across the whole board into position. I think that was more important because it just gets a lot done. So it can set me up for Corsairs. It can move these guys, so I have a guy on this army, and it's also marching this army down. I correct that, so it gets these armies combined. So yeah, I think the Shadows Moving play is better than the Swarm of Bats play. He smells danger and plays Imrahil quite wisely. And I decide to just go for Dale, no card. Yan played Scouts. And I think, oh no, that kills any chance of me going to Erebor. But Yan moves to Old Forest Road, which makes me think, what's the thinking there? Is Yan thinking about maybe using this to retake? Is he going to go down to Dol Guldur? Either way, I'm not sure. I think it's an interesting play. Yeah, I think it's definitely a good option because it leaves the option open to go down to Dol Guldur and get like some cheap points if I don't get the right dice, and it also gives him a threat to retake Dale at some point, maybe combined by getting some armies out of Carrick, because now the North are at war. Anyway, so we go on to turn 5. I draw into Corsairs. Thank God. I haven't had that in any of my last recent games as Shadows, so it's lovely to see it. He draws into Fear 5 foes, and we prove the Swifter. So yeah, very opportune timing to get Corsairs. Well, almost opportune timing. I get this roll, and Yan gets a very movement heavy roll. Can Yan get into Mordor this turn? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. In theory, Yan could get into Mordor this turn. That's quite scary. So the Fellowship move. I miss on my reroll. I move these armies down, so I make sure I get a second reroll on the Brownlands, and I also move this army down to Eastern Met. So my thinking here is this army is obviously not very big, but it's big enough to be a nuisance, especially because it threatens a raid on Helm's Deep. So it pressures Yan to use his dice. It makes that a consideration. It's quite an annoying thing for the Free Fields player to have to think about. So anyway, Yan moves again. I hit, didn't need the rerolls. I get an O revealed, so luckily I get a reveal. So technically he can still hide, move if he's not revealed, and then move again. So still, there's the option by using a ring that Yan could get into Mordor this turn. So now I do my Shadows Gather plays. That's the main reason I did the Dale move when I did. It allows you to get that army into there efficiently. Glad I held on to Shadow's Gather for that. Perfect sized army as well. Lovely. Jan flips the Fellowship. I play Shadow's Lair. And I start building up this army in Orthanc. Because since I've got Dun and Dings and a new Powers Rising, I'm thinking I could just bludgeon my way through and take Helm's Deep just with sheer brute force. Just power the door down. So in terms of victory points, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Dol Amroth would be the 10. That would be my plan. All right, so I kind of give away the the plan here. I have this muster. I don't know what else to do with it, so I decide to make extra sure to get an extra elite here. That extra elite can make a really big difference, but it does make it very, very obvious that I have Corsairs of Umbar. Jan plays Smeagol Knight's Master. I go for Woodland Realm, and I decide to play. I must be playing Wormtongue here. Oh, sorry, Foul Stench. Let's see how this goes. So I get 2 hits, and Jan, or 2 -1 because of Shield Wall. Shield Wall did very well for Jan this game. Press and draw. Draw into Nazgul Search, which is very opportune timing. Good job, game. I decide to no card it. Okay, so in this situation here, I could have. I'm not going to Deadly Strife. I'm not going to Nazgul Search. New Powers Rising. That's integral to my plan to take down Helm's Deep. So I'm not going to play that. I could have played Relentless Assault. The reason I don't is because in my mind I'm like, I really want to hang on to Rage of the Dunlendings. I really like that card, and maybe I should have been more. Should have prioritized using a card to finish off this stronghold. But anyway, I get 2 hits. Jan gets none, so I'm thinking, great, good stuff. Just got to finish it off. Jan moves, and luckily he gets a reveal. But he had used his dice earlier anyway, so it was no longer an option for him to get into Mordor this turn. I can't remember what he did with the other die. I think personally, I can't remember what he did with it. I would have gambled on trying to get in, although because I drew into Nazgul, actually I couldn't have even played Nazgul Search, so if he had not been revealed there, he would have got into Mordor. Anyway. So, Woodland Realm, no card. So again, I'm gambling here. As I said earlier, only a fool would not play a card to ensure that they didn't finish off a stronghold. So what do I get? I get no 6s. Great. But, you know, shit happens. So going to the next turn, I joined Orc Patrol and Olokai. And Jan draws into King Brandsmen. Bit too late for that one, and there's another way. That's a very handy card to have. So this time I roll a bunch of eyes. Probably, maybe the worst time to roll lots of eyes when the other person is just about to get into Mordor anyway. Kind of a pointless time. I guess there's the chance of me revealing him in Morannon, which is always good for the 2 tiles, but not really when you want to do it. Anyway, and he rolls this, so he gets quite a lot of musters, which is handy. Flips the Fellowship. I play Orc Patrol. So my plan here is thinking, can I slow him down, make him waste a bunch of dice by revealing him again? It diminishes what he can do with these dice. Maybe I should have saved that as a kind of a contingency plan in Mordor. Maybe it was a waste of a Palantir. What else? I could have used that to play a New Powers Rising. I've got all these daggers to play Nazgul Search. I could have used it to play Corsairs. Looking in retrospect, probably not a good play, because in reality you're actually probably just going to shrink. But unless you hit Aragorn, or a good tile and you hit Aragorn, is it even worth it? He gets a 2, do a random, and draws Gimli. So yeah, corruption's not. It's not a corruption game. I've just made his path to Golem even faster. I think that was a bad play. I don't think I would do that again. Um, yeah, the only benefit of a play like that would be to make him waste one of these dice that he might have been able to use to muster or do something somewhere else. Anyway, so I use the muster die instead to play New Powers Rising, which is fine. Jan moves the Fellowship. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he moves the Fellowship. I hit and draw 2. He takes random and draws Strider. So that's good. We love to see that. Still not the worst for Jan. He's still doing very well for corruption, but slows him down a bit. I go for Woodland Realm, and yeah. So another thing I could have done, I guess, would have been to play Olokai with that Palantir, just to give me 2 rounds at taking the stronghold, because you'll never guess what happens. I don't roll any 6s. That's 20 dice, no 6s. I say, oh man, oh man, oh man. Jan rolls a 3. He starts this Lamadan bloke's march from Peligir to Dol Amroth. And I do Woodland Realm, no card again. And I don't hit again. So that's 30 dice with no 6s. That even tops the run of no 6s there was in my my craziest game of all time. So at this point, I'm just like, I'm thinking like, have I just? That's the kind of thing that loses you a game. You're being stubborn, and you don't want to play one of your nice little precious cards, so you decide to keep banging your head against a brick wall, and that's what I did. And I didn't roll any 6s for 30 dice. But I mean, what are the odds of that? Someone tell me what the odds are. I imagine they're absolutely minuscule. And I'm pretty pissed off. I say probably cost me the game. And he says, yeah, because he's right. I could have played a New Powers Rising, but in my mind, I need a New Powers Rising to take down this giant stronghold. I've got Dunland things, but New Powers Rising makes Dunland things it makes Dunland things so much more effective, and it makes this army much bigger. So like, I was never going to play a New Powers Rising in a game where I'm fully intending to use this. I'm not going to go for Minas Tirith. So yeah, I was never going to do that. I think if I was going to do anything, the card I would have played would have been Relentless Assault, or played Olokai and given myself an extra round. Having said that, I still didn't hit in 20 dice anyway, so gamble didn't pay off. He plays New Powers. We prove the Swifter to get Legolas into Helm's Deep. I really like that play. Corruption is not a huge issue. Gets him to Gollum quicker, and it makes Helm's Deep. He knows what I'm planning to do. It makes Helm's Deep that much harder. If I was him, I might have even considered taking a Hobbit as well, actually, just to add that extra bit of leadership and a higher chance of getting to Gollum quick. Anyway, so I decided to use my final die. I had saved 1 to use to play Nazgul Search because I've got to just slow him down. But then I draw an eye anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, so he's revealed at least a little bit slower. On to turn 7, I draw into Grond and Return of Valinor. Returns Valinor. Obviously, focus on the Deadly Strife there, and he draws into Book of Mazarbul, and I will go alone. Fellowship's okay. So I get this roll, which is one of those rolls where I'm very glad that I had moved that Nazgul Search in retrospect. Very useful for getting the Witch King down here, because I didn't have a single C and I would have been kind of stranded otherwise. So that's very, very useful actually that I had that. Because the only tricky thing is I don't have any P's or C's to play Grond, which is a bit irritating. Would have loved to have used that one. So anyway, Jan uses that to get his guy from Lamadan into Dol Amroth because he knows I'm about to play Corsairs, which I do. Gondor's at war. He flips the Fellowship. I attack Dol Amroth, and so I decide to do what Jan did to me in our previous ladder game. and I decided to use Dread and Despair to basically just stop him hurting me and making this army last as long as possible. It's quite nice because if I'd played the Deadly Strife straight away, it would have been slightly diminished by the advantageous position anyway. So I forfeit 4. I get so that was the Deadly Strife had been quite weakened. Only got 1 hit on the combat roll. So anyways, I get 1 hit. Jan gets a hit back. I press and draw. Draw into Flox Cribane. I decide to play They Are Terrible in the off chance that maybe I can use the Deadly Strife elsewhere. I can save it till the end or use it elsewhere. So I get a really nice roll this time. Get a bunch of hits, 4 minus 1. So now I only need to get 2 more hits. And I decide to not play a card, hold on to my Deadly Strife. So I'm stubborn again, but this time it works. And I take down Dol Amroth. So, the game's getting a bit closer. Jan moves, draws an eye, and gets 4 revealed, so kind of perfect in a way. Gets him down to Golem, super fast. Bring in the mouth, and he draws into Atlas. I then, this time, I'm like, not messing around this time. I don't want to play Deadly Strife. It felt too much to play Deadly Strife on this stronghold. So I decided to play Olokai, so that the second round I can at least have 2 goes at it. I mean, was that? To be honest, I could have just used 2 attacks. It's the same thing as using Olokai. But anyway, I did it. So I get the hit straight away this time. So finally Wooden Realm is done. So we are now on 7 victory points going into turn number 8. And I think this turn is the main reason why I decided to share this game. Maybe in future I'll just skip the rest of the game and cut to the interesting bits like Rom still does. Because the rest of this game hasn't been that spectacular. But I think this is a really interesting turn. So I draw into Cruel Weather and Half Orcs and Goblin Men. And Jan draws into Challenge of the King. And he gives up Path of the Wozes. Let's see what I get. So I get this roll. And Jan gets this roll. So, quite scary seeing this much movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's on Golem. Let's look at the hunt pool. Obviously the eyes reveal. The reds stop. So if he gets 2 of these 5 tiles in the next 4 moves, he's not gonna win the game this turn, more than likely. If he gets, so I think he's odds on to not win the game this turn. But it's possible. It's certainly possible that if Jan gets the rub of the green, that Jan can win this turn. So I was not hoping to see that. But it's not a very flexible roll. He can't do much else with it, with all those sea dice. He's got rings, but you probably don't want you probably want some more dice to defend with, perhaps, as a free people, rather than kind of an ultimate Hail Mary attempt at winning. Yeah, so he says, "Oof, I don't think Jan's too happy there." He decides to play There Is Another Way to heal that bit of extra corruption and move the Fellowship and draws a 1. So that's lovely. So here, this is when I decide to switch tact, and I think I'm somewhat vindicated into my plan to hold on to Rage of the Downlandings for all this time. Because if I hadn't held on to that, I'm not sure if I can win that I can win the game this turn. I mean, I could have always just gone for hard for Helm's Deep. But given the fact that I also, it's just gonna be, it's a well defended stronghold. Does he have particularly good defense? Because he's got a lot of sudden strikes. He's got a valor. He's got the daring defiance. So there's some very good defensive cards to hold on to Helm's Deep. So I'm worried that with this roll, even if I bunch up all these armies, if Helm's Deep doesn't go my way, and he has a bunch of end cards, that's the main thing I was thinking about. If he's got a bunch of end cards, we've all seen it. You go charging into Helm's Deep with a giant army. You can get Gandalf in there as well, no doubt, just for the hell of it. And you're just gambling so much on winning what could be a really, really tough battle in a stronghold. I guess I could have mustered a bunch more, but anyway. So I then decide, hey, what else can I do? I can go for the 4 cities. I've already got Dale. I only need to move these guys to here. This little 4 army coming in very useful. Get them into Edoras. With these guys here. And then my precious Rage of the Dunlendings that I didn't use in this battle here. I can use this to get this army up to here. And I can even, if I need to, use one of the Palantirs to play Orcs and Half Goblin Men to use this as a attack using the leader by mustering a leader into this army to make sure that I can finish the job. So I think, okay, I like this. This is nice. So I start my plan. Jan starts moving this army across and gets his guy into Peligir just to make my plans a little bit slower. I decide to use this. I attack. I take down Peligir. Move again. I play Rage of the Dunlendings. Da 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 da. Jan passes. I move in south in Ered Luin. I take Edoras up to 9 points, and then flip the Mouth of Sauron. Take the Shire, and it goes down. So had the perfect dice to do the pivot, so I could not. Helm's Deep was off the table. So Jan at this point, by using the will to defend a little bit, he has made it even harder for himself to have a go doing a miraculous win. So it's possible still, but instead, Jan has other ideas. So what Jan does is he plays a ring to get Rohan to war. And this means I suddenly see what he's going to do. With his last 2 dice, Jan is going to march this army here to Western Met and attack this army here with this big army. And he's going to extend the game by a turn. And then because he's that little bit closer to Mordor, he'll actually have a really decent shot of winning the game next turn if he gets a half decent roll, uses a ring, etc. So I'm thinking, okay. So what can I do here to stop this? I guess there's 2 things I can do. I can muster a Warg, Isengard elite in here, or I can march this army towards Eisen, intercept this army in Western Met, and try and just like beat them up so much so that they can't take, they cannot stop me winning the game. So I go for Fordsweisen, I no card it, I get my hit, Jan moves to Western Met, and here we go. Is this going to be it? What's going to happen? I attack Western Met with the big army, and finally the Deadly Strife that I've saved is going to come in useful. Oh no, it's not, because he plays Daring Defiance. So yeah, so held on to that card for bloody ages, and it was neutered. But luckily, I get some really nice hits on the reroll, so I get a nice roll anyway. Actually thinking about it, I would have been rolling on 5s, so it would have been an almost total wipeout. Rolling on, on 3s actually. But anyway, so I do some damage. Jan does a lot of damage back, but I'm not bothered. So his army's down to 3. And even though irritatingly he has the initiative here, so I can't put in my half orcs and goblin men into Edoras. So it's going to be a 3 plus Legolas versus a 4, and I've got no playable cards. So let's see what happens here. He attacks Edoras. And he plays Sudden Strike. So he's got 3. And he misses, thank goodness. And he gets 1. And then I get 2 hits back. So that was like a dream roll for me. So I'm thinking there, I think I've won the game. I think I've won the game. What's he going to do? He's going to need crazy luck here. He's going to need to roll he's got the Captain of the West, so he's going to be rolling 2 dice. But is he really? All I got to get is 1 hit. Just got to get the 1 hit. So I stay. But then he plays this. He plays he plays another Sudden Strike. And I'd kind of just sat there thinking oh man, even though he's only got 1 army, he's still got the 3 leadership. So it feels like you shouldn't be able to do that much damage, but Sudden Strike doesn't care about your army size. Sudden Strike cares about your leadership. And he gets 2 hits. Ugh. 2 hits. Oh man. So now he's rolling. He's got 4 dice. I've got 1 dice. And he's going to extend the game into turn 9. And so it was really well played by Jan to use the sudden strikes like that. I guess maybe you play the Valor the first time round. I don't know. Or maybe he was holding on to that. But yeah, he held on to Dane. I'm very glad I didn't go for Erebor in the end, because that would have been nasty. Maybe that's why he moved this army down here, actually, because he knew he had Dane anyway. But anyway, Jan misses. And he misses the reroll. I got 1 attack. And I roll a 5. What an ending. What an ending. So I say, wow, GG. Dude. So a very exciting end to not the most exciting game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I guess the interesting point would be my decision not to use Dunlendings up here when I kind of bloody-mindedly perhaps should have. But in the end, it played a part in helping me win the game elsewhere. The odds must have been crazy on not hitting a 6. Let's look at the stats. So I was +3 on 6s, which is nice, but minus on all of these other rolls. Very high on 1s, and he was +2 on hits overall. In terms of these look relatively low on musters for the 3 people, low on palantirs, high on movement. And in my case, pretty balanced, low on characters. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Relatively balanced dice overall. Cool. So yeah, any thoughts on this game? Please share them. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.